Today is Tuesday, August 20th. We'll update you on the Democratic National Convention, including speeches from the last Democrat to lose to former President Trump and the last one to win against him. Also, we're talking about Trump's busy week and why he's facing new criticism from Taylor Swift fans. Plus, what the latest CDC data says about childhood vaccines, why another big company is dropping its diversity initiatives, and how a cyclist made history at the Tour de France. Those stories and more news to know next. Welcome to The Newsworthy. All the day's news in around 10 minutes. Fast, fair, fun, and on the go. I'm Erica Mandy. Thanks so much for being here. You ready? Let's do this. The most powerful Democrats in the country are together in Chicago with two main goals on display. One, to give Vice President Kamala Harris a boost in her campaign against former President Trump, and two, to honor the legacy of President Biden. The president was the Democratic National Convention's Night One headliner. When he took the stage, Biden got a standing ovation that lasted more than 4 minutes, and the crowd chanted, "Thank you, Joe." He appeared to get emotional before addressing the crowd. When he did, the president listed his accomplishments and said he and Vice President Harris have had, quote, one of the most extraordinary 4 years of progress ever. And he said choosing Harris as his VP was the best decision of his whole career. Earlier in the evening, there was a surprise appearance from Vice President Harris herself. She got up on stage to thank President Biden for a, quote, lifetime of service to our nation. She'll be back on Thursday to accept the nomination for president and make a longer speech. Another big highlight of Night One, the only other woman who's run a general election campaign against former President Trump, former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton. She spoke about the hope that Vice President Harris will do what she couldn't, become the first woman president of the United States. Others who made appearances last night include First Lady Jill Biden, the longtime civil rights leader Reverend Jesse Jackson, United Auto Workers leader Shawn Fain, Golden State Warriors head coach Steve Kerr, and many more. But there's still plenty ahead. Today, the crowds will hear from former President Barack Obama, Second Gentleman Doug Emhoff, and several other speakers. We'll, of course, bring you the highlights on The Newsworthy tomorrow morning. Well, during the DNC, it seems former President Donald Trump is working hard not to give up the spotlight. In fact, this is going to be the busiest week of his campaign so far. Trump and his running mate, Senator J.D. Vance, are visiting vital swing states every single day this week. Yesterday in Pennsylvania, Trump promised to increase fracking, rapidly approve new energy infrastructure, and, quote, build American, buy American, and hire American. Plus, he called Harris an economy wrecker and country destroyer. The Trump team is also doing a lot of campaigning online. Though this week, his approach has sparked some backlash. On his social media platform, Truth Social, Trump shared a series of fake or altered images showing Taylor Swift fans wearing T-shirts that read Swifties for Trump. He also included a mock Uncle Sam poster with Swift's face on it that says, "Taylor wants you to vote for Donald Trump." And as if it were a real endorsement, former President Trump wrote in the caption, "I accept." Now, to be clear, most of the women depicted in the photos are not real. They were generated by artificial intelligence. And Swift herself has not endorsed anyone for president yet this year. Though during the last election cycle, she did support Biden and harshly criticized Trump. It's not clear yet if the images Trump shared this week violate any certain laws around publicity, likeness, and AI. So far, no response from anyone on Team Trump or Team Swift. Former Congressman George Santos has now pleaded guilty to fraud and identity theft and will be going to prison. In court this week, he admitted to his crimes and much more, like embezzling funds from donors. He also apologized and explained, saying he let ambition cloud his judgment. Remember, Santos was already expelled from Congress when it came out that he lied about his family background, education, finances, and work history. And a House ethics report uncovered evidence of campaign fraud and other violations. Santos was set to go to trial next month, but now that he's pleaded guilty, this case is resolved. A judge will still have to determine how long he'll spend in prison, anywhere from 2 to 22 years. Santos will also have to pay hundreds of thousands of dollars in restitution. A luxury yacht sunk off the coast of Sicily this week, and now search and rescue crews are looking for several tourists who are on board. One of the missing passengers is Mike Lynch, the British founder of the tech venture capital firm Invoke Capital. Rescuers are trying to find him, his 18-year-old daughter, as well as 2 Americans and 2 other Brits. The yacht chef died in the disaster, and 15 other people, including a 1-year-old baby, were rescued. The yacht sank during a violent storm, though there aren't a lot of other details about what went wrong. Several crew members are in the hospital, and at last check, they had not spoken to investigators. The investigation and the rescue operation are ongoing. This week, 2 places in the Northeast got hit with torrential rains that came down so fast, they're both considered once-in-a-thousand-year rainfall events. Parts of western Connecticut and Long Island, New York, were washed out. At least 3 people died in the storm. It also prompted evacuations, water rescues, power outages, and ground stops for flights. And many roads are still underwater. It's also worth noting the storm system was separate from Hurricane Ernesto that was also causing dangerous surf and rip currents along the East Coast. Thankfully, most of the threats should be out of the region today, finally giving people a chance to dry out. All right, we have much more news for you still coming up. But first, this episode is sponsored by SKIMS. You already know how much I love everything I've gotten from SKIMS so far. And sure enough, the Soft Lounge collection has been no exception. I have the Soft Lounge long slip dress. I love how I can dress it up or down, wear it alone, or throw on a jacket. And just like the name suggests, it's super comfortable and soft, and it's super cute. And have you heard me talk about how luxurious my new SKIMS Soft Lounge sleep set is as well? This matching pajama set can turn a hectic day into a calm, cozy evening in an instant. If you haven't gotten on the matching pajama set train yet, by the way, this is your sign. The feel, the fit, the quality of SKIMS always makes me feel put together and confident, whether I'm lounging around the house or getting out and about. Shop the SKIMS Soft Lounge collection at skims.com. Now available in sizes extra, extra small to 4X. If you haven't yet, be sure to let them know I sent you. After you place your order, select The Newsworthy in the survey and select my show in the drop-down menu that follows. Okay, now back to the news. As kids all around the country get caught up on vaccines, the CDC has new data that shows they've been really beneficial. A new CDC report says routine childhood vaccinations have prevented more than 1 million deaths and saved America hundreds of billions of dollars in the past 3 decades. The Federal Health Agency released an evaluation of its Vaccines for Children program, which began in 1994. It provides free vaccines to kids who otherwise would not have been able to afford them. Since the program started, the CDC says vaccines overall have prevented more than 500 million illnesses. 9 vaccines, like those for measles, hepatitis A and B, and tetanus, were included in this analysis. Though it's worth noting vaccines for flu and COVID were not included. When they factored in things like long-term disability and missed work, the CDC researchers found the savings to be $2.7 trillion. The report comes on the heels of a Gallup poll that found just 40% of Americans think it's extremely important for kids to get vaccinated, down from about 64% in 2001. Health experts say concerns about vaccine safety have been on the rise in certain communities for decades, and then the COVID-19 pandemic pushed that hesitancy into the mainstream. In part because many people say they didn't have a doctor they trusted to take their concerns seriously and answer their questions. Still, most medical professionals say the benefits of routine vaccinations outweigh any risks. Speaking of vaccines, the FDA is expected to greenlight the updated COVID-19 shots as soon as this week, so that might be one to hold out on just for a little while longer. Stay tuned. Motorcycle maker Harley-Davidson has become the latest in a string of companies to ditch diversity initiatives. In a letter posted to X, Harley-Davidson clarified its internal policies. In response to an online campaign that criticized the company's diversity, equity, and inclusion, aka DEI program. Now, there's been backlash against so-called woke corporations, with critics saying there needs to be more neutrality in business. Now, Harley-Davidson said it has not had a DEI program since April, and it has no diversity hiring quotas. It also said it would no longer participate in Human Rights Campaign scoring, which is an index of how corporate entities treat LGBTQ+ employees. Harley-Davidson says it's now just focused on its loyal riding community. Still, the HRC argues the company is making a mistake, saying diversity and inclusion are important to the success of any business. Harley-Davidson follows in the footsteps of John Deere and Tractor Supply, companies that decided to get rid of DEI initiatives after facing criticism online. In all 3 cases, conservative activist Robbie Starbuck spearheaded online movements calling on people to boycott those companies in response to their diversity programs. An iconic daytime talk show host who revolutionized the format by adding audience interaction has died. Phil Donaho died at 88 years old after a long illness. His namesake talk show, The Phil Donaho Show, first aired in Dayton, Ohio in 1967. With its name shortened to Donaho, the show went on to have a nearly 3-decade run in syndication, making its host a nationwide star. Donaho's trademark became walking among his audiences, soliciting questions on topics that were often risque, especially by the standards of that time. Donaho won 20 daytime Emmys during its run, which ended in 1996. President Biden awarded Donaho the Presidential Medal of Freedom in May. The Women's Tour de France had a historic finish that has fired up the cycling world. Polish rider Kasia Niewiadoma won the nearly 600-mile race by just 4 seconds. It was the tightest winning margin in Tour de France history, men's or women's. She actually lost the final stage, a brutal climb in the Alps, to the defending champion and second-place finisher overall. And because Niewiadoma didn't win the 8th and final stage outright, she had to wait after finishing to see if she had actually won. But it turns out she had built up enough of a lead to hold on for the win. Compare that to the men's race last month, which had a much more straightforward finish. Slovenian rider Tadej Pogačar won that by more than 6 minutes. That's it for the main news today, so now it's time for Trivia Tuesday, when we ask a different trivia question every week. But first, a quick break to thank our sponsor. It's that time of year that we're starting to transition from summer to fall, from pool days to back to school, from hot and humid to maybe cooler nights. So I like to go through my closet and reorganize my go-tos for the season and fill in any gaps. And Quince makes it easier by offering timeless and high-quality items for the whole family without breaking the bank. Think washable silk tops, cashmere sweaters from $50, and so much more. It's all about layering for me this time of year to deal with the swings in weather, and I have this great linen blazer from Quince that I can dress up or down. And you know I love my washable silk tank. It's fancy, yet practical and super cute on. The best part, all Quince items are priced 50 to 80% less than similar brands. By partnering directly with top factories, Quince cuts out the cost of the middleman and passes those savings on to us. Make switching seasons a breeze with Quince's high-quality closet essentials. Go to quince.com/newsworthy for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. That's Quince, QUINCE.com/newsworthy to get free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/newsworthy. Okay, now back to Trivia Tuesday. Today's trivia question is, what country produces the most mangoes? You can play along with us in our weekly roundup email that comes out every Friday. Sign up to get it at thenewsworthy.com/email. As for last week's trivia question, who has the only Hollywood Walk of Fame star not on the ground? The answer is Muhammad Ali. The 3-time world heavyweight boxing champion and Olympic gold medalist got his star in 2002. At first, Ali declined the offer of a star, saying he didn't want people trampling on his name and what it represents. As a devout Muslim who changed his name from Cassius Clay when he converted, Ali did not want anyone walking on the name Muhammad, the holy prophet of Islam. But the Hollywood Chamber of Commerce, which gives out the stars, reached a compromise. It revealed his star on an easel and mounted it on the wall at the entrance to the Dolby Theater, which hosts the Oscars and is right next to the Walk of Fame. It stands there to this day, the only one of 2,786 stars on the Hollywood Walk of Fame that's not on the ground. Well, thank you so much for joining us and listening today. We'll be back tomorrow with more news you need to know. Until then, have a great day.